Volume 2 opens by revisiting the closing moments of Volume 1 and immediately continuing the fallout. Joyce and Mike stare in shock at what they just witnessed and pull Will into a tight embrace. Mike calls him a real-life sorcerer, while Will confesses that Vecna has taken the kids and that he feels responsible for failing them. With no time to waste, Joyce, Mike, Will, and Lucas head deeper into the tunnels, hoping to reunite with the others and come up with their next move. Meanwhile, in the Upside Down, the Demogorgons drag the captured children across the terrain until they reach Vecna's lair. The kids are restrained and connected by tentacle-like cords, just as Will was long ago. The screen transitions into Derek's point of view, revealing what their consciousnesses now experience. The children awaken in a serene field greeted by the illusionary figure of Mr. Whatsit. Smiling warmly, he fabricates a story in which he saved them from terrifying monsters and now intends to protect them. He insists they must remain at Creel House for their safety. Hidden among the trees, Max watches and quietly analyzes Henry's intentions, waiting to see what manipulation he attempts next. To win further trust, Henry speaks to the children about an evil force that is spreading. He compares it to the Black Thing from A Wrinkle in Time, painting himself as the only one capable of defeating it. The children listen with wide-eyed belief. He promises that if they obey him, he will protect them and their families. He declares that everything begins tomorrow. Almost all the children accept his words without question, except Holly, who remains suspicious and quietly observant. Back at MacZ, Dr. K grows increasingly alarmed, having received the report that Hopper and Eleven have escaped. And not only escaped, but escaped with Kali. In the tunnels, Lucas lies wounded from a Demogorgon attack. Joyce, Will, and Mike tend to him while trying to explain everything that has happened above ground. Lucas perks up at the idea that Will might now be a second L, but Will is quick to shut down the thought. He explains that he does not possess powers on his own. He can only channel something if he is close enough to the hive mind, and he fears he cannot do it alone. Lucas introduces a theory. November 6th, the day Will was taken years ago, and the day the nightmare began, could also be destined to be the day it ends. If that theory is true, they are running dangerously short on time. Elsewhere, Hopper and Eleven continue traveling through the Upside Down with Kali. Their journey is tense. Eleven again confronts Hopper about the bomb she found earlier, believing he planned to kill Vecna at the cost of his own life. Hopper avoids giving a direct answer, causing Eleven to feel betrayed and isolated. They arrive at a church, hoping to find Dustin, Steve, Nancy, and Jonathan, but the space is empty. The others, unknown to them, have instead made their way to Hawkins' lab, searching through the ruins for answers about the wall and the Upside Down itself. Dustin forms a theory. Vecna is drawing power through a wall-linked energy system, like a shield, and if they locate the generator powering it, destroying it might collapse the entire structure. With no concrete alternative, the group splits up to explore different wings of the lab. At Creel House, Holly sneaks out under Henry's watch to speak with Max. She explains what Henry has been telling the children. Holly wants to act immediately, but Max hesitates, warning that any interference now could risk all of their lives. Moments later, they realize Derek has followed Holly. Holly believes Derek may be able to help them find a way out by using whatever link remains between his mind and Vecna's. In the real world, Joyce takes leadership of the survivors and suggests luring Vecna out of the Upside Down so that Will can kill him. Will, Lucas, Mike, Erica, Robin, and Murray all express doubt. Joyce then proposes building a second telemetry tracker, like the one used in the past. The problem is that none of them know how to construct it. Erica steps forward with a solution. Seek help from their old science teacher, Mr. Clark. At the same time, Lucas suggests reviving dead Demogorgons using heat, the same method that once revived Billy, so Will could reconnect to the hive mind. They decide to pursue both ideas at once. Inside Hawkins' lab, relationships fracture under pressure. Steve and Dustin continue arguing over tactics and decisions. Jonathan and Nancy wander through the halls and encounter corpses fused into walls, melted by something unknown. Jonathan notes the air is devoid of spores, implying a major change has occurred in the environment since 11 closed the gate seasons ago. Back in the church, Eleven and Kali sit alone and speak about Vecna. Kali then reveals parts of her personal history that had never been shared. After government forces killed her friends and took her captive, Dr. K began extracting her blood to use in a secret project. Her flashback begins, Kali escaping confinement, sprinting through the lab hallways, only to discover multiple pregnant women strapped down, their bodies receiving infusions of her blood. She watched as both mothers and unborn children died from the experiment. Kali reveals the truth. Powers were not originally created by drugs. The children received them because they were infused with Henry's blood. Dr. K has been trying to reignite the program, but Kali's blood is insufficient. That is why they must find 11. Her blood is the only one capable of restarting it. Within Holly's memories, Max and Holly travel through fragmented emotional passages, slowly approaching the night Holly was taken by Vecna. At the same time, in the real Upside Down, Henry finds Derek and threatens to kill his family if he disobeys or tries to help the others. Back in the tunnels, Joyce, Will, Mike, Lucas, and Robin work to revive dead Demogorgons using heat. To their shock, it works. The creatures twitch, jolt, and reconnect to the hive mind. Will attempts to link his mind with them, and it succeeds. His vision shifts as he begins to see through one of the Demogorgon's senses, giving him eyes inside Vecna's world. In Holly's memory, Max and Holly finally reach the moment Vecna captured her. An opening appears, a doorway that should lead into the real world. As they attempt to step through it, Henry materializes and seals every exit. His form distorts as he transforms into Vecna. Vines lash forward, and Vecna wraps his hands around Max's throat. Simultaneously, Max's physical body in the hospital convulses and begins to die. Suddenly, inside Vecna's mind, Will seizes control. Through the revived Demogorgon Link, he temporarily overtakes Vecna's consciousness, causing him pain long enough for Max and Holly to escape. Will urges them to run just before Vecna regains strength and throws Will violently out of his mind. His body collapses unconscious. Dustin continues searching Hawkins' lab and discovers a journal, flipping through pages rapidly. Something he reads causes his expression to change. Whatever the energy ball in the sky is, it is not a generator. It is something catastrophic. On the rooftop, Nancy and Jonathan stand ready, guns raised, staring at a blinding sphere of energy pulsing against the night sky. Dustin tries to reach them through walkie-talkie, warning that destroying it will kill everyone. His voice cannot get through the static. Jonathan and Nancy hear nothing. Nancy fires a shot into the sky. The impact triggers a massive supernatural reaction overhead. A glowing vortex forms, pulsing with destructive power before exploding outward. Bolts of blue-white energy fire across the dimension, streaking in multiple directions. As this unfolds, we return to Erica and Murray, who have made their way to Mr. Clark's home. Although irritated by their sudden appearance, Mr. Clark's demeanor changes when he learns Dustin's life is in danger. With that, he agrees to help them build a new telemetry tracker. Meanwhile, Dustin fills Steve in on a crucial revelation. He explains that everything he assumed about the generator was only partially correct. After studying Brenner's journal, he learned that the core element holding the dimensional barrier together is a substance called exotic matter, a singular energy source maintaining the wall. Destroying it, however, would not bring the wall down. Instead, he clarifies the most staggering realization of all. The Upside Down is not an alternate dimension. It is a wormhole, a bridge between time and space. If that bridge is destroyed, anyone still caught inside, including them, would die along with it. Out near the dimensional wall, Hopper, 11, and Kali watch the bolts of energy strike the structure. Rather than weakening it, the wall absorbs the bolts and grows stronger. The trio take cover. 11 manages to guide them toward a gate using her powers, and moments later, they burst through into the real world. Back atop the rooftop, Jonathan and Nancy lie unconscious, surrounded by melted debris from the explosion. All around them, the rooftop itself begins to sag and melt from exposure to the altered matter. Elsewhere, Max and Holly, having been warned by Will, run to escape Vecna. They retreat to the cave that previously protected them, but Vecna appears nearby. However, he does not step inside. Instead, he manifests as Henry, addressing them from a distance. He threatens that unless Holly comes with him, Max will die. Max confronts him, calling out his refusal to enter the cave. Henry responds ominously that circumstances have changed, and he now has new ways to reach them. He declares Holly holds Max's life in her hands. As dawn comes, a title card marks the date, November 6, exactly 4 years since Will Byers first vanished in 1983. The day is symbolic, but now it may also be the day everything ends. At the radio station, Will remains unconscious. Robin, Lucas, and Mike try to make sense of how Will managed to see Max while he was out. Robin hypothesizes that Max may not be in a coma, but instead suspended in a mental trance inside Vecna's mind. Because Max and Holly have been trapped in Vecna's psychic domain the longest, Robin suggests they may be the key to reaching Will. Inside Will's unconscious reality, he awakens bound by thick tendrils in Vecna's lair. Henry, who then transforms into Vecna, appears before him. Vecna reveals a long-hidden truth. Will's disappearance before was not simply abduction. He was taken because Vecna chose him to build, to shape and expand tunnels throughout the land of nightmarish vines. While Will slept through the years, Vecna claims Will's mind and body were constructing for him. Vecna tells Will that his growing power belongs to Vecna himself, and that Will be his spy once more. Will rejects him, but Vecna's control is overwhelming. Back in the cave, Max and Holly whisper possible strategies. Max believes Henry refuses to step inside due to a traumatic memory tethered to the cave. Holly suggests that they might actually escape by traveling through that memory, using it like a doorway. Max hesitates, but Holly chooses to act. She runs outside the cave, searching for something that might serve as a clue. Hopper, Eleven, and Kali arrive at the radio station, reuniting with the group. Joyce begs Eleven to find Will through the void, and Eleven agrees, but every time she reaches out, Will slips away, his consciousness fading deeper beneath control. Meanwhile in the lab, Nancy and Jonathan awaken in the melting chamber. They discover the exotic matter sphere was not destroyed. Instead, it has become agitated. The room is dissolving, walls sagging, metal liquefying, the doorknob drooping into molten form. Escape is impossible. Callie tells Hopper that Eleven cannot do this alone. Hopper refuses to listen and insists on one plan, building a tank chamber for Eleven as she used during Hawkins' lab experiments. Tension rises between them as Mike watches, confused and unsure what is being left unsaid. At the hospital, Robin and Lucas visit Max's unconscious body. But Vicky arrives, confronting Robin about the drugs she stole to protect Max. The hospital has alerted security. Robin gives Vicky the truth, something almost impossible to accept. Lucas then plays Running Up That Hill through headphones, hoping it will serve as an anchor to reach Max's mind. During the wait for the tank, Mike asks Eleven what Kali meant about a lab inside the Upside Down. Eleven finally explains that the lab exists within Vecna, intertwined with her own blood. Her frustration rises. She insists that because she shares blood with Vecna, this fight may never end. Mike promises they will face everything together. Back in the desert, Max finally catches up to Holly, who has been searching. Holly's theory proves right when Max suddenly falls through the sand. Below them lies a staircase descending into a hidden tunnel system. In the lab ruins, Dustin and Steve search for Jonathan and Nancy. Their journey gives them time to confront their own fears. Dustin, emotional, confesses he does not want Steve to die. Steve responds honestly, and the two hug, both acknowledging how deeply they actually care for one another. Inside the meltdown chamber, Nancy and Jonathan accept they may not live long enough to be saved. They speak privately, Nancy admitting she hates the clash, Jonathan confessing he never applied to Emerson. The two reflect on their relationship, its highs and flaws. Jonathan shows Nancy an engagement ring, not to propose, but to ask if they should consciously choose not to continue. They mutually decide their relationship has reached its end. Mid-conversation, they realize the melting has stopped. They are safe, at least for now. The tank is finished. Eleven submerges and reaches for Will's physical form, urging him to lead her to where he is. Tentacles wrap around her, transporting her to Vecna's lair. She cuts through vines holding Will, and his eyes finally open. But in that instant, Vecna sees inside Will's mind and learns where Max's body is hidden. At the hospital, chaos strikes. A demodog bursts through, killing soldiers. Vicky and Robin run. More Demodogs arrive, but their path is direct. They are hunting Max. Robin uses the loudspeaker to warn Lucas. He grabs Max's body and sprints for an elevator, escaping just in time. Karen suddenly awakens in her hospital room, disoriented. In the tunnels, Max and Holly crawl toward a glowing opening, the edge of Vecna's mind lair. They can hear faint music. Robin's song is reaching the edges of the dreamscape. At the hospital laundry room, Lucas, Robin, Holly, and Max's body hide. Robin insists the music must stop or they will be found, but Lucas refuses. Max is close to crossing over. A washing machine clatters loudly, drawing Demodogs toward it. The machine explodes moments later, killing them. Karen emerges, revealing she placed a pressurized oxygen can inside to create the blast. In Vecna's mindscape, Max and Holly find the portal back to the real world, but Max stops. She tells Holly she cannot come with her. She must find her own anchor to return. Holly shows Max a small figurine she carries, Holly the Heroic. Max tells her that her heroism is real. Suddenly, a second portal forms, one meant for Holly. They separate, running toward their individual exits. Both girls sprint toward escape, one toward light, the other toward fate unknown. Next, we see Max awakening in the hospital. Lucas, Robin, Mike, Joyce, and Will are present, emotional at her return. Eleven, Hopper, and Callie arrive shortly afterward, joining the reunion. Once Max regains enough strength to speak, she informs the group that Vecna will know she escaped and will immediately search for her. Mike asks what happened to Holly. The episode cuts to reveal Holly still inside Vecna's lair, suspended by tentacles alongside other captured children. A dark liquid is forced into her mouth, but she manages to break free, coughing up a black shadow-like substance. She runs through the crimson-lit corridors and escapes out into a barren, ruined desert landscape. Above her, Vecna, resting in a suspended form, awakens. Back in the Upside Down, Steve and Dustin locate Nancy and Jonathan and free them from the melting, goo-coated chamber. Dustin presents Brenner's notebook, explaining he discovered it is dated 1983. Based on its writings, he speculates Holly is not inside the Upside Down, but somewhere else entirely. The story then returns to Holly. Running across the desert, she notices a glowing red fissure in the ground. With no options, she jumps into the crack and falls downward, screaming. Beneath, she descends into the skies of the Upside Down. Her screaming is faintly heard by Nancy, who freezes, recognizing Holly's voice. Meanwhile, outside Hawkins Middle School, Mr. Clark, Erica, and Murray continue work on the telemetry device. They launch a balloon experiment and detect Dustin's signal. Erica radios Lucas at the hospital, and the group prepares to leave. Karen wants to go as well, but her injuries prevent her, and Mike convinces her she must remain behind. Joyce learns Max is awake. Will, however, is shaken. He remembers Vecna saying he would be used again and confesses guilt to Joyce over years of unknowingly building tunnels for Vecna's network. Joyce comforts him, telling him he is not responsible for the deaths caused by the tunnels. The hospital group meets Mr. Clark and the others at the coordinates. Mr. Clark, not previously informed of the supernatural truth, is confused. They make radio contact with Dustin, though barely, and think they hear confirmation that Holly has been found. Without waiting for Dustin's return, 11, Hopper, Callie, Mike, Robin, Murray, Erica, and Mr. Clark all travel through a gate into the Upside Down. There, they regroup with Dustin, Jonathan, Nancy, and Steve, only to learn Holly is no longer with them. Nancy then recalls hearing Holly scream earlier. A flashback shows Nancy, Dustin, Jonathan, and Steve running toward the voice and seeing Holly midair, not falling, but being pulled back upward by an unseen force. Vecna is revealed as that force, leading Holly unconscious through the air. He returns her to his lair and reconnects her to the tentacles. Elsewhere, the U.S. military responds to the Demodog attack at the hospital. At the same time, Akers is notified that a breach has occurred at the old lab facility. Eventually, the entire main group exits the Upside Down and returns to the real world, except for Holly. Max reunites with Will and Joyce but expresses regret, believing she failed Holly. Now gathered in safety, Dustin lays out his findings from Brenner's notebook. He draws a map showing that the Upside Down is not a full alternate world, but a wormhole connected by exotic matter. He labels the deep region where the Mind Flayer and other monsters originate as the Abyss. Max states Vecna intends to move worlds, and Will expands on this. Vecna plans to merge Hawkins with the Abyss and reshape reality. If Lucas's theory is correct, November 6th is the intended night for this event. Meanwhile, inside Creel House in the Mindscape, Henry returns Holly to the children. They are frightened by her condition. Henry tells them Holly is essential if they hope to save the world, urging them to win her trust. Back in Hawkins, Hopper begins formulating a strategy. His first plan involves flying a helicopter into the Abyss, but the group disagrees. Steve interjects with an alternative. Eleven and Kali will kill Vecna and free the children, while Dustin proposes detonating explosives on the exotic matter structure so the interdimensional bridge collapses, destroying the monsters. With no better options, the group prepares for another crawl into the Upside Down. Inside Creel House, tension builds among the captured children. Holly confronts Derek about failing to protect her. Unknown to her, Henry threatened Derek, forcing him to stay silent. Holly runs, chased by the others. During the pursuit, her necklace holding Holly the heroic figurine breaks and falls down the staircase. Before departure, Joyce and Hopper privately speak. Hopper expresses distrust regarding Kali and worries she may endanger Eleven. Eleven and Kali share a psychic moment. Eleven declares that once the Abyss collapses, the Hawkins lab inside the Upside Down could be destroyed as well. Kali believes new labs and new versions of Dr. K will always be rebuilt. She suggests only one permanent solution exists, remaining on the collapsing bridge and sacrificing themselves. The emotional peak comes when Will speaks privately to Joyce. He admits Vecna can see his memories and fears, and he is tired of hiding. Will gathers the entire group and openly states that he does not like girls. He receives full support and embraces, and then turns to Eleven, saying he must be present for her battle against Vecna, because they are connected. The second volume concludes as Murray drives the team toward the Max Z preparation site. Hopper and Nancy fire at soldiers blocking them as they cross into the Upside Down, monitored by Dr. K. The final scene returns to Creel House. Children sit at a long dining table, Holly among them, injured but awake. Henry stands at the head of the table. He lights candles, instructs them to hold hands, and takes psychic control as the candles flicker, marking the beginning of Vecna's final phase.